You're listening to the TransformationCoach.me podcast, and I'm your host, Adam Shively. Let's get after it. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the TransformationCoach.me podcast. It's your buddy, Adam, and I am so excited to share this episode with you. I think it may very well be one of your favorites. I say that a lot, but my guests keep bringing it, and this episode is no different. I've got a 126-pound transformation success story with my friend Lexy Peach. She rocks this interview, guys. There are a couple moments when she just opens up her heart and goes off, and I love it. I mean, she is so locked in tight. You'll hear me use the word impressive several times because her story and her mindset are straight up impressive. And you guys are going to be impressed as well. You're going to come away motivated and excited and fired up. We talk about her story and how she began and what motivated her to get going. We talk about what is keeping her motivated right now. And we also talk about things like what advice she would give somebody that's scared to death to get started but needs to take action. So lots of takeaway tips. Be sure that you check out my blog because I've got 9 takeaway tips and notes from this podcast interview. You don't want to miss out. I got a bonus video on there as well. Now, one other quick note. You will notice my voice is pretty much blown out in this interview. I'm still kind of struggling with that a little bit, so I apologize for that. I'm not going to do a podcast next week, so you're going to get a 1-week break after this episode. So let it soak in, make it count. I got to rest my voice for a week, and no live casting, no coaching, no teaching classes, just taking the family on vacation. I'm going to rest up for a week and come back with double mojo the next week. So I just want to give you guys a quick heads up on that. Enough about me. Let's dive into this interview with episode number 43, 126-pound transformation success story, Lexy Peach. All right, my friends, I am super psyched. I have a very special guest that is just kicking butt, and she's made some huge changes in her life, in her lifestyle. I think you're going to get a lot out of this. I've got my friend Lexy on the line with me, and we're going to go through a little session here where I'm going to ask her some of those questions that I typically ask, but you never know where it's going to go. So I'm really excited. Like I said, she's got a unique experience, has had tremendous results, which we'll let her talk about here in a second. But Lexy, first off, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Now, let's kick it off with the results. So what kind of results have you seen with your transformation process up to this date?
So I am down 126 pounds, and when I started, I was a size 20 in jeans, and now I'm about an 8 or a 10.
Wow. Holy cow. Now, what kind of difference have you felt just with your body or just, those general daily things? Is there anything that pops up? You're like, man, this is so much different when I do this compared to how it used to be.
Yeah, I'm a lot happier with just my overall outlook in life. And I have 3 sets of stairs at my office that I have to go up and down every day. And so I used to just take the elevator because by the time that I would get to the top, I would be completely out of breath. And now it's like a breeze. And just like little daily things like cleaning the house. I'm a big fan of dusting. I know that sounds crazy, but I used to get so tired of dusting, literally like cleaning any little things. And now I find that I have so much more energy to do those. And when I get done, I don't have to sit on the couch and be like, shoot, I'm out of breath. And now it's just like I can go about my daily life just so much easier.
That's awesome. I love hearing that because obviously somebody that's lost 120 pounds, that's huge, 126 pounds. And yeah. I know that that's intimidating for a lot of people that there's a lot of people out there that need to lose 100 plus pounds. And they're like, man, this is going to be so hard. It's going to be so much effort, so much energy is going to go into it. But you're seeing the payoff in the back end. You're like, I've got so much more energy now. So it's almost like like an investment. You're that compounding interest in your energy is coming to fruition now. And so that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's let's pull it back to the very beginning. Like I told everybody at the start of this show here, you've got an interesting story. You've made some bold moves as a young person, and I want to kind of dig into that a little bit because I know that is there's a lot of people in that early 20 age group that are feeling that need to make a change or make a lifestyle shift. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Let's first talk about how you got to the point where you were ready to make a change.
I made the change with my body and with my eating and with my nutrition. New Year's Eve, I know that sounds crazy because everyone always has like New Year's goals, resolutions, and I've had the same one for probably, 10 plus years, and it was always to lose weight. And so I was we were at Gatlinburg, and I was with my two best friends and my fiance, or my boyfriend at the time. And I was like looking in the mirror, and I had bought this like dress, and I was like so excited to wear it, and I put it on, and I just started crying. And I mean, I'm sitting here telling the story, and I can like remember the emotions and remember how bad I felt just because I was standing in front of the mirror because I felt trapped in my own body, just sobbing. And I mean, a little bit about my backstory. I've been on a diet since I was 12. I remember being sent to school with like Slim Fast and going into the girls' locker room to drink them so that no one would see me, and then going about like to lunch and stuff and sitting with my friends and just being like, no, I'm not hungry. So I've battled with eating problems my whole life, and I knew that this was something that I have always struggled with and didn't want my future self to struggle with. So the next day I woke up and my best friend was like, what was wrong with you last night? Like, you didn't even drink, you didn't even have fun. And I was like, I'm literally stuck. Like, I feel so overweight. I feel so unhappy. And we were going on a ski lift to see all of Gatlinburg, and it said the weight limit was 275. And at this point I was 289. And I was like, holy cow, I should probably not be riding this, even though there was like heavier people, like weight wise, that I could tell that were bigger than me riding it. So I was like, I'm fine. But it was just, that's what led up to this. I mean, it was a mental breakdown that I was just bawling because I wasn't living my best self, and I needed to be happy with my life. And in order to do that, I had to make a big lifestyle change.
Yeah. And that's huge. And so you were what, 22, 23 at that point?
Oh, no. I was at this point was 2015.
Okay.
That I started this change about 2 years ago.
Okay. So we're talking mid-20s then.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So that, I see that a lot with people where the light bulb goes off, that switch gets flipped, and it's usually with that rock bottom, highly emotional moment. And, people that I help out, or people that I talk to on these types of interviews, that's a very common thing. So that happened. What kind of action did you take after that? What kind of game plan did you put together? How did you actually start to lose the weight once you made that decision to make that big lifestyle change?
So after that, I went home and I was like, okay, every single time I've said that I'm going to do like a weight loss plan or a diet, it's lasted for about 2 months, and then I fall off the bandwagon. So at this point, for myself, I had to get to the root of my problem, and I very much would say that I was a food addict. As much as I hate saying that, I definitely was addicted to food, and I had a really big problem with binge eating. And so I sought out a counselor, one who specialized in addiction issues, and then I got a nutritionist. And the nutritionist that I had her for 2 months, and we kind of came up with a plan that was like, okay, you've tried literally every single thing that's out there. What's going to work best for my body? So I talked with her, and then my counselor I saw twice a week, which some people are like, God, that's a lot. And counseling is expensive, but for me, I ate because it was an emotional thing. So anytime that anything bad would go on in my life, I would turn to food, specifically Ben & Jerry's ice cream. That used to be my go-to. And I had to find out why I was doing the things that I was doing. And that's where I started. That's the game plan. From there, we put together like an eating plan. And then I started walking. Now that walking was like 15 minutes a day because I was so out of breath by the time that I got done, but I just started small.
Yeah. No, that's a huge deal. I think you said a lot of good things there. I'm taking massive amounts of notes already, so this is going well. A couple things that popped out. One is that you made a decision to start working on what's going on in your head because you realized that you were kind of self-sabotaging through the emotional eating, through the food addiction.
Yeah.
That was what was holding you back. And so many people just don't see that. They're always kind of finger pointing at the program going, Weight Watchers didn't work, CrossFit didn't work, all this stuff didn't work, but they don't realize that the same traps keep on falling into the same traps. Those same traps keep popping up, and that's what's derailing them no matter what program they did. So I think that what's really, really smart that you did is that you started to work on what was going on in your head and fixing the trap that you continuously fell into. So that, in my mind, that was one of the smartest things you could have done. And that's what sets you up to succeed with any program moving forward, because you've got that kind of that transformation toolbox there that you can fall back on and know, all right, this is something that I have, fell prey to in the past, but now I know how to not do that and I can move forward and have success. So that was huge. That's a huge, huge decision. And then you started small. That's another thing that people have to lose a lot of weight. They get so intimidated, but you just started with, eating clean and walking and sweating and building up from there. So, let's compare that to 126 pounds later. What kind of workouts are you doing now? Obviously you start with walking. What's your jam now? What kind of stuff are you doing these days?
So now I actually had to take a break because I had my gallbladder removed. So I couldn't work out for 6 weeks, which was not fun for me because I was so used to, for me, it's like an antidepressant. Working out literally, that works for me and it keeps me sane. My favorite thing that I do is kickboxing, and I tried hot box, which is in a hot room. It's kind of like hot yoga, but it's hot boxing. And for me, it was just way too much. 100 degrees boxing is not fun for me. So, boxing is my number one thing, and it gets all of my frustrations out, and I walk out. Typically, like in the beginning, I felt drained, and now I walk out and I'm like, yes, I'm ready to take on the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I just kind of want to get a comparison out there because I know that people will naturally do that. They'll be like, well, what? She's lost 126 pounds and I'm wanting to lose 100 pounds. What might be possible, down the road? So I like to kind of toss those images out there for those that, because I have a lot of people that do listen to this that are kind of at that starting point of their journey. So it's always good to kind of toss what might be possible out there. Okay, cool. So let's talk about some of these obstacles. Obviously, you overcame one of the huge obstacles with the binge eating, the emotional eating, the food addiction. But what would you say is one of the other hard obstacles that you faced so far once you started losing the weight and you kind of got some traction going, what sticks out in your mind as an obstacle that has popped up that was pretty tough for you to deal with?
So I think maybe my two biggest things that I'm still struggling with today is, number one would be when I look at myself in the mirror, I still see the girl that was almost 300 pounds. So, and like when I go to Target, I still pick up size extra large or extra, extra large clothes. So I still struggle with like the mental things. And sometimes it makes me really sad because I'm like, I love myself now. I do. And I loved myself then, just a completely different love that I have for myself now. So just focusing on how far I've came and remembering what I've done to get here. And I mean, I still have bad days, but like when I have those bad days, I used to like go to the grocery store and get ice cream and candy and eat that. And now it's like when I have those bad days, I still have to remember to not revert back to my old ways and my old, habits. And just like now I go on a walk. Like we have a place here. I live in Nashville. It's called Radnor Lake, and it's a hiking campsite that's beautiful scenery. So I just go around that and I walk, and after that I feel so much better. So that's my first thing. And my second thing is I love my family dearly, but sometimes, when they're like, hey, you look good, but you need to stop losing so much weight because you're getting too skinny. I'm like, oh, I want to punch you in the face because I've worked my butt off to get here. And I know that you're saying that out of love, but like, I know what my weight is and I could still stand to lose some. And it's not about you. It's about me. It's about how I feel. It's about how I want to look. And I'm like, okay, you didn't say a whole lot when I was 300 pounds, but now you're voicing your opinion now. So just trying to find a healthy balance with family. And I know it's coming from a loving place, but just a struggle.
Yeah. So once again, you've dropped some serious knowledge on us here. A couple things that popped up. I think it's really awesome that you've learned how to replace what you used to get from food with exercise. That's huge. So just talking about no longer going to the grocery to get ice cream. Instead, you go for a hike in one of your favorite places. And there's a book called The Power of Habit. And he talks about the habit loop. And I'll link to the book in the show notes for everybody that's listening. It's one of my favorite books. But he talks about the habit loop where you can't always change the stimulus. A lot of the stimulus of stress will always be there. But we have to figure out is the middle part where how we act and what we want to get out of that as an end result. Those are the things that we kind of can manipulate a little bit and that's what you did where your old stimulus used to be stress or whatever. Then you would eat and you get that rush of endorphins from the food.
Yep.
And now you still get the same rush of endorphins, but it's from having a great workout in one of your favorite places. So huge. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Also just talking about being proud of where you came from. And that's, that's something that anybody that's lost a significant amount of weight will have that new body feeling. Like it's like when you move into a new house, you're in real estate. That's a good analogy for you. When somebody moves into a new house, the old house is still kind of home for a few months until you get in your routines and you start to develop your own little patterns in the new home. And that feels like home. And all of a sudden you drive into that driveway and you're like, yeah, this is home. Or, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know when I first moved, when I first moved into our current house, I came home from work and drove to our old house a couple of times because I'm just used to going to the old house. And, and that's just how people are with their bodies too. So you that will fade away as you learn to experience this new you that you've never experienced before. You've lived your whole life as this other person. So it's going to take a little bit of a while. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself, but just be excited about it and be proud of how far you've come. It's like you don't want to let go of that old person. That's a huge part of you. That's somebody that's really your greatest teacher. And that old Lexy has taught you how to be this new Lexy. And moving forward, that's something you can be super proud of.
Yes. Thank you.
So, yes. And then with family, this is a huge topic that comes up for people. And what I always encourage is people, as the people that are losing weight, we have to make sure that we are really clear with our goals and why we're doing what we're doing and just setting that out there. And that tends to help bring the family on board a little bit faster. If you're like, hey, I'm trying to do this because of, my blood pressure's high or whatever. And then when you go to that family gathering, people are kind of understanding why you're eating salad instead of the barbecue or whatever.
Yep.
And then on the other side that you're feeling now, it's you're getting too skinny or your shape is changing in front of their eyes so rapidly. It's a lot of times that will bring out their own insecurities. And that's something where if they haven't quite built up that courage yet, where they have started their own journey, or maybe they're kind of halfway there and they're kind of stalled out and feeling a little bit insecure about that. So sometimes that will bring all that stuff out that you've been super successful. And that's just them projecting a little bit. But again, they're coming from a place of love and it's just their own stuff that they're dealing with. So that's, as long as you can just stay positive, that's and kind of lead by example. That's the key thing when we're dealing with the friends and family and eventually they'll come on board and hopefully sooner than later. So there you go. That's my advice in those couple of areas. Now, I've got so many questions I want to ask you. This is you've got a great story, especially, being in your mid-20s, you're 27 now, and making all these smart choices early on in your life, it's just going to pay off so much for you. So doing this now versus later, it's huge. So what what kind of goals are you currently trying to achieve? Like, what's out there? What's keeping you motivated now? As you know, it's not so much about the weight loss thing, and it's turning into more of a lifestyle thing. What's keeping you motivated? What kind of goals have you set for yourself that you're looking at now?
So ultimately, my goal for this, I never really had a number in mind until I had dropped, I think, 40 pounds. I literally just wanted to beat obesity because I was definitely obese. I was struggling with depression and struggling with anxiety. I still struggle with anxiety because I'm a female. I know males struggle with it too, but I have highs and lows with everything. So that was mainly my goal. But then I set a weight goal for myself probably about 8 months ago of 140 pounds. And I'm right at like 168 right now. So my goal is 140. And then working out wise, I would like to run a mini marathon by 2018.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
As you shift forward, I've got a video that I'll post in the show notes and in the blog, but I call it the transformation timeline. And as there's 3 phases, and you've passed through the first phase is kind of where everybody messes up and they lose weight and regain it and kind of get stuck. But the second phase is when you solidify your lifestyle. And then the third phase is where you're heading, and you're kind of at the start of, is when I call it new purpose, new identity. You start to run out of weight to lose. And it's kind of like, if you own 100 acres, you can't sell 200 acres because you don't have it. And so what's going to motivate you? So that new purpose, new identity is super important. So I'm glad that you have a real solid fitness-based goal right now, and you want to start forming more and more of those just to solidify why you're going to get up and work out, or why you're going to eat healthy instead of taking a cheat day or whatever. So that's a huge win on your part. And I would encourage you to keep doing that for sure. Now I know you're getting married, right? You're engaged. So that's huge.
I am. Yes. I get married September 2nd.
Oh, congratulations. And that's a huge motivator as well. Obviously, you're going to look great for the wedding photos and all that stuff. So that's going to be amazing. Now
when I went in to get my wedding dress, I told the girl, I said, hey, I'm going to buy it 2 sizes smaller. And I wish that you could have seen her face, because she was like, no, we don't suggest any brides to do that. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm not normal. I was like, I will get to that goal weight. So, and I had my first fitting for it, and it fits. So I was very excited.
Nice. That is awesome. I love that attitude. I love that mindset of it's just going to happen because I'm going to make it happen. And I feel like that's one of your keys to success, is that you just have set your mind to this, and there wasn't a plan B. And that's how we get things done. Is there anything else that you consider to be kind of your key to success? I mean, obviously your mindset's locked in tight. Any other kind of secret keys that you feel like have really helped you along the way here?
Yeah, I would say for myself, I have to meal prep. So I'm on the go quite a bit. And if I'm not prepared and don't have meals with me or snacks with me that I can keep in a lunchbox or in the car, then I will find myself going to Chick-fil-A. And I mean, there are healthy options. I just say Chick-fil-A because that's my favorite and my go-to.
Right.
There are healthy options out there, but it's easier for me to be able to count my foods and my carbs and my proteins when I'm preparing it, rather than someone else who I don't know what's going into it. Another thing for me is I journal, and in my journal, when I'm having a great day, I talk about how I'm feeling that day. And if I'm having a bad day, I kind of write why I'm having a bad day and what I can do to change my mind. And then third, I would probably say 80% of the time I eat clean, and 20% of the time I allow myself a cheat meal. I used to do cheat days. And with cheat days, I would find myself putting anything and everything in my mouth at one time. And that didn't do anything for me, because the next day I would feel like total crap.
Yep.
So, and when I eat clean, I feel great. And when I eat like crap, I feel like crap. So I've learned that the hard way. But now I would rather eat clean 95% of the time, and the other 5% allow myself a cheat meal here and there.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And, just between those things that you said, that I can just tell that you're really putting a lot of thought into this. And that's a huge mistake that I see everybody make, but especially younger people, because if you don't have, you're not married yet, you don't have kids yet. And once people get that, and then they're like, oh, I'm at risk for a heart attack, I really got to get something figured out here. But the fact that you're ahead of the game this much and getting all this figured out before all that happens, that's really, really impressive. So well done. Now,
Thank you.
I'm going to throw a curveball question at you. I didn't give you a heads up on this, but it just popped up. So you're getting married. You're getting married. I've seen some clients that, especially that have lost a lot of weight, and their focus is finding a mate, losing weight, and then once that happens, weight regain happens. Like they start to put it back on. It's almost like, I got this. I got the ring on my finger.
You got happy.
Yeah, and then that was their main driver. It was all about, I gotta find that person that I'm going to marry. I got to get the wedding, and then it's kind of like you cross the finish line. There's, like I said before, there's no real next motivation, and the weight gain happens. So, how are you going to prevent that from happening? What kind of mindset are you going to bring to the table?
So for myself, this was never, like, I was single when I met my fiance, or whenever I was heavier, I was single, and it was never about anyone else. It was always about myself. And so I will tell you this, one of my biggest fears right now is after we get married, probably within the next year or so, we're talking about kids. And I fear, I'm like, okay, whenever I have kids, like, I'm going to have to be really conscious with what I'm fueling my body with, because I want it to be healthy for me and the baby. And then afterwards, I've already started thinking about how I'm going to get back on track, because that just scares the crap out of me. But this whole journey has been for myself. It's never been about finding a man. It's been about loving myself and figuring out my own worth, because I was worth so much more than I was even giving myself. I was worth more than, the things that I was doing to myself when I was 289 pounds was I was not loving myself. So I had to learn to love myself before a man could ever love me. And I will say that when I did meet Andrew, he was just such a Prince Charming, and he has loved me at my heaviest, and he has loved me through this whole entire journey. And he's one of my biggest cheerleaders. He's like, okay, like, you can do this. And like, sometimes I go through phases where I'm like, what the heck? Why? I've only lost 2 pounds this week, and I've worked my butt off. And he's like, stop stepping on the scale. Weigh yourself every other week. Like, he's a big supporter. But I think my biggest thing is I did this without a man in my life. And I don't think that as a woman, I think, by, 27, you should be married. By 30, you should have kids. That's not how it should be. It should be whatever age you want it to be. But your life should never be about finding a man to make yourself feel like worthy. It should be, you need to love yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And I was not doing that. And so I don't think that I'm going to have any problems after I get married. I think, we'll go on the honeymoon and I will enjoy myself. I will have all the cocktails, but after I get home, I will be back on track.
Yeah. Wow. Lexy, you just that was like a mic drop right there. I don't even know if I need to say anything else. This is, yeah, that is so impressive that, you've got this type of mindset. And even when you do get pregnant and have kids, you've got the tools to handle that. I mean, that, like you said, there'll be some freak out moments in there when you see the belly growing, but you have to realize that's a human and not fat.
Yep.
And there's going to be, the only thing, it might be interesting to have you back on the show at that point in time, just to kind of talk you through it and see where you're at mentally. Because I think you'll find out that you've got what it takes to handle that. But I don't want to use the word counsel, but I coach a lot of women that have just had children. And the only thing that I really try to hammer home is that it's not all going to come off in like 1 minute, because your body just went through this major thing, and it's going to let go of the bloating and the water, and all that stuff's going to go back into place. So you don't want to put too much pressure, because it's not like losing weight, like you just lost body fat. It's a very different, it's a slower process, and there's hormones shifting and involved. So that's, it's just different. So approach it with a mindset that this is going to be a new experience, and it's not going to be the same as when I lost weight before. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, definitely.
All right, cool. So, and we'll save that for chapter 2 of our podcast interview down the road. But that's super exciting, and I just love your mindset that you're 27 years old and you've got this locked in tight like that. So it's super impressive. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to make sure that we can. I think you've definitely motivated. You motivated me. I know you're motivating the people listening in. What would you say? If there's somebody that's out there just getting started and they need to lose some weight, maybe they're a younger person like you, and they're just not sure if they can do it. What kind of advice would you give that person that's just getting started? They're scared to death and they haven't quite mustered up that courage to take action yet.
I think I feel like my main thing would be is start small and know that it won't happen overnight. Like, I didn't put on all of this weight overnight, so it's going to take a lot longer for me to lose it. And then, for those who, for me, I was really struggling, and I was like, God, I'm so far gone. How did I let myself get this far off track? And just know that, no matter how far gone or off the track you think you are, you can regain your life back. When I say start small, you can take the stairs or park further away, from the store, and take a 15-minute walk outside on your lunch break. And then I would also suggest talking to someone. For myself, I had a therapist, and then one big platform that I've used to connect with so many people and talked with so many other men and women who are struggling with this is Instagram. As crazy as that sounds, has been a really good outlet for me, because I've documented every food that I put in my body. I'll take a picture of it. And my mom was like, why are you doing this? You're posting your food. And I'm like, I know, but I want people to know what I'm eating. And for me, it was accountability, and I needed that. And then I have this saying on my mirror, and I know it's super cliche, but healthy living isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So for the rest of your life, you're going to have battles of hey, you're going to a cookout and there's going to be burgers and beer and, all this bad food. There's nothing wrong with you bringing a salad mix or, just eating the healthy stuff there. And then allow yourself to indulge. If you want to go to a barbecue and you've had a really good week of pretty much eating clean, eat whatever you want, but know that the next day is a new day and you can start over fresh. Because for myself, when I was, I did the Meltdown program, I think when I was 19 or 20. And yep. I think my hardest thing is all of my friends were not on it except for one other one. And alcohol was, at that age, I shouldn't say this, I wasn't even 21, but I was going out, I was drinking with friends, I was having fun, and it was all my friends, were drinking, and then the next day you're not feeling the best, so you get a burger, it's greasy. So all of those foods, they're always going to be in my life for the rest of my life. It's always there. And I just have to be careful that I can't let myself slip one day and continue to slip. So I know that the age of 20 to 24, 25 is really hard when you're doing a certain type of program, but just know that those foods are always going to be there, and surround yourself with people that lift you up, that are hey, let's not go get drinks. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a hike. Let's go to the trail. Let's do something other than drinking, eating, because that's really hard whenever you're around people that are constantly doing that.
No, that's 100% truth. 100%. Go ahead.
Yeah. The last thing that I have is I would just say, don't wait to be proud of yourself until you've reached your goal. I feel you should celebrate small milestones. And with myself, whenever I was on another diet or whatever, whenever I would hit oh my gosh, I've lost 10 pounds, I'd celebrate by going out to eat. And now it's When I've lost 10 pounds, I'll buy myself new running shoes. When I've lost 20 pounds, I'll buy myself a pair of Lululemon gear. Whenever I've lost 30 pounds, I'll do this. Like, celebrate all those little milestones, because those little things, they always add up to be big things.
Yeah, I love that. I love celebrating with healthy non-food items. That's a really, really great tip.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Instagram, and I noticed something. First, I want to tell you what I noticed. And because, so a little background story. Lexy and I know each other because we're from the same hometown. And she's been to my studio before she moved to Nashville, like she mentioned. So I popped onto Instagram. It wasn't quite a year ago. I started to be like, I need to be on Instagram. So I'm gonna get on Instagram. And one of my first friends was Lexy, and I started following her. I see her posting her food, and I'm like, this is awesome. So I started, just kind of following her story. And I noticed recently, like within the last couple of weeks, you changed your Instagram handle from Lexy Losing to Lexy Living. Tell me, we kind of can figure out why, but what went into that?
So whenever I created the account, I actually had it private first. And then I was like, okay, I'll put it out to the public. Like, as scary as this is, like, my bones were shaking. I was so nervous. And I got a lot of backlash from people. They were like, why would you create it Lexy Losing? Like, Lexy Winning is what this needs to be. And they, like, gave me what they thought it should be, which I appreciated, because I was like, I don't know. Like, I like Lexy Losing. I feel like it has a good twist to it. And so I thought about it, like, right before I changed it. And everyone was like, don't change it. And, like, when I created this, it wasn't even just about losing weight. I needed to lose depression. I needed to lose anxiety. And, like, I lost so much more than just weight, and I created this new life for myself. I am so much more happier, and I am living my life to the fullest. And so I was like, okay, for me, it's not even about losing weight. And while this journey was about losing weight, I lost so much more, and now I am living. Like, I feel like I am finally able to live my best self and just be happy with my life. And so when I changed it, everyone was like, oh my gosh. And, like, I had one girl reach out to me and was like, oh my gosh, on my personal Instagram, Lexy Peach, which I don't even use. She was like, hey, why'd you delete your account? And I'm like, oh, I didn't. I just changed my username. She's like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I like Lexy Living because I've lost the weight. I feel like I've kicked depression's butt, and anxiety I still struggle with, but now I am living. Like, I'm finally able to live my best self.
Yeah, I love seeing that. I saw that happen. I was like, oh, she gets it. She gets it. That's awesome. So what is the exact handle so people can check out what you've got on Instagram?
On Instagram and on Facebook, it's just Lexy Living. Yep.
All connected, all one word. And I'll put that in the blog and in the show notes so that you guys can check. I really recommend that you guys check her stuff out. She's posting food, motivation, before and after pics, and really, really good stuff. So any other places on social that people can find you, or that you want to kind of put a shout out there for?
I'm just on Facebook too. So I have my personal page, which is Lexy Peach, and then I also have Lexy Living on Facebook. Awesome. Well, Lexy, I just want to take a second to acknowledge you for what you've accomplished, because knowing you when you were 19 and just coming in my program and kind of, like you said, struggling with everything that was going on, and then reestablishing a connection now and kind of touching base and just seeing 126 pounds of results. But man, the mental side of this, you've got it figured out. And that is huge, my friend. And that is something to be so proud of. And that's a tool that you can take from every day forward and use it. And that's going to help you not only with your health and your fitness, but your relationships, your career, just knowing that you can take on something that's super challenging, that it may be the hardest thing ever, and you do it anyway, and you just attack it with this mindset of it's just going to happen. The wedding dress is going to fit because it's just going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And that's, I'm just so proud of you. So I just wanted to take a second and just acknowledge you for that. Yeah. You deserve it. You deserve it. You've done a tremendous job. So, guys, hopefully you guys got as much out of this as I did. I've taken
I've taken a furious amount of notes that I'll share. I always do a write-up in my blog. So I'll write out my top takeaways, and I'll put in the bonus videos and the ways that you guys can connect with Lexy online and follow her story and continue to follow her transformation and her motivation that she's posting on social. So you guys can look forward to that. Otherwise, Lexy, I'm super proud of you. I appreciate you for taking the time to jump on here. And I have a feeling that this won't be the last appearance on the old Transformation Coach.me podcast. We may have to have you back for a second round. How's that sound?
Good deal. Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's episode. I hope that you liked it. If you guys get a chance, I would really, really appreciate a review on iTunes or SoundCloud. That helps us get the word out there. I can find more interesting people to connect with like Lexy and interview them about their transformation story. So give me a rating and a review on iTunes especially helps out. So if you take a second to do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. I've been getting great feedback from our Facebook group, from everything we've got going on. A lot of momentum is happening as we build up the mojo heading into spring and summertime. So lots of exciting things going on. And as always, I'm going to encourage you guys to get out there. I want you to own it every meal, every workout, every day. I will see you on the next episode.
Hey, before you guys head out, I just wanted to remind you really quickly to come and check out my free Facebook support group, the Defeat the Cheat group. You can head on over to www.defeatthecheat.com. That will redirect you directly to the place where you can join our free Facebook support group. It is awesome. These people are on fire. If you guys struggle with being consistent with your nutrition and your fitness, and you need a little bit of support, a little bit of mojo, a little bit of help, we've got it for you. We've got your back. All nutrition plans, all workout systems are welcome. There's no judgment there. It's no, our program is better than your program. It's about following the program and supporting you on your own transformation journey. I'm telling you, it's awesome. We're doing 14-day challenges. We're sharing recipes, motivational quotes, tips. Every day there's something on there that's going to inspire you. I guarantee it. So come on over, check it out, www.defeatthecheat.com. We'll see you inside the group.